Welcome to the Sparky Coach podcast. This platform was built by Sparkies for Sparkies. We simply exist to make business owners more profitable, or businesses more profitable and more predictable. So we want to work with people that work hard because we love working hard too, that work smart because you got to be on top of the business, people that are kind because no one likes a dickhead. Am I right? People who want results because that's what we're here for, right? And people who want to be part of a like-minded community. So if you're interested in hearing more about the platform, please reach out and enjoy the podcast. Hey, Jose, do you want to intro?
Yeah, go for it.
No, do you want to intro?
Alrighty, on the spot. Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 4765 of Sparky Coach. We have the self-anointed and self-appointed. That's about all I got.
That was actually pretty good. If you had have kept talking and said Ruffin Lord, I would have been like guilty as charged with the Ruffin Lord. Hey, on that, I know your job is office, similar to me. Do you miss the tool stuff?
Yes, 100%.
Is it the physicality or the fact you're really good at it or all of the above?
Yeah, column A and column B, I suppose. I think I love the vibes as well. You know, like get in there, spray it out, get a radio pumping, a few boys, throwing in cables. Like, I love that stuff. I love it. But
so good. The Tradio pumping. Yeah, it's interesting. I think it takes a while to get used to. Hey, I was just reflecting this morning. I've been in the office for over 10 years full time. And some with Core Electrical and some with the coaching. But, you know, it's hard to pass up like a good roughing day. If you had to get back on the tools for one day and one day only, is it undergrounds? Is it roughing? Like, where would you be like, oh, I love that?
I still feel like whenever we do have like a big undergrounds day or a mains pull or whatever, I still go. But if I could choose, it would definitely be just like a resi roughing, just pulling cables, clipping them, smacking in down, like just back to basics, first year apprenticeship. It's so good.
I just got this, like, I got all my tools stored neatly. I just got that 4-foot ladder out, put my kids' painting on top of it. But I had to walk past a cable roller and like, God bless the cable roller. Right?
Yeah. I actually never used to rough in with one.
With no cable roller.
Always a single drum against the bottom plate, pull it and just go. Always.
It must have got tangled more than it would have otherwise, or are you just that good?
I think because I've got really big feet. I've got size 15 feet. So if I sit my foot next to the cable roller, it does not move.
That's my worst nightmare. No cable roller on a rough in. I would literally drive to anywhere and get a cable roller and come back, or just go home.
Especially switch wires. Like you've already done the hard actives and powers and everything. Just set it up at the switch, boom, 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 and then run it. So fast, so good. No moving around. Love that. And most of the time I rough in standing up. Like I don't need a ladder. So for me, like you just move around with a cable drum, pull it, and just like pass it over the trusses.
So one of my best mates, James, he runs Hippo Projects. He's been on the pod before. He was watching the Gyp Rockers get around on stilts. You know how they get around on stilts sometimes? He's like, you guys should rough in with stilts.
I just bullshit that come with that though.
I think physically bending down all the time to pick something up would be really hard. But talk to us about, I want to go through a couple of things today. You're obviously going through a house build, which will take you up a bit of time this year. So that'll put you out. And I think the transition into that will probably be, obviously, if anyone has been through a build before or a decent sized build, especially from scratch or renovating your house, and we did a pretty massive renovation here, it takes a lot of time, effort, energy, money, of course. So it removes you a lot from the day-to-day operations of your business. And I think, I want to talk about that because you've obviously got your office is pretty functioning now, a bit of a service mate to Simpro transition. You got operations people stepping up and more in the pipeline. You've got estimators along the way, or you got to add out and whatnot. So lots of things in the pipeline. I think sometimes it's almost you're forcing your hand with a build. This is my external take on it. You're forcing your hand to make the business run better without you, which I think you almost need, because there's a point of it's like babying your child. There's a point of like helicopter parenting over like helicopter business parenting, which I guess makes sense as well. If it's like, you don't really need to be here. And I just want to go sideways for a sec. If you're in a business partnership and someone's in the office and you still have office and tool stage, like that second partner, if you're not careful, can end up just being a full-time conduit deliverer. They can do kind of what you could do right now. You could fill your days with Bremner electrical stuff right now if you needed to. You drop conduit to that person, check in on that person, or go and have that conversation, go have a coffee with a client. And it's all good and noble, but if it didn't happen, it would have been sorted out otherwise. So I think that's a huge... Anyone that's been through that or currently going through that will be, you can just burn your time into the abyss and then complain you've got no time or money because you are a cost to the business, or your new operations manager is a cost to your business. I'll say all that to say, take me back to the beginning. How did you first and foremost recognize that I got to get out of here, the tools, and then with the office a little bit, I got to get out of here. Like, how do you recognize the trend? And I think that's pretty much business 101, right? Like, I got to get out of here, like, and get an apprentice. I got to get out of here. And then a tradie comes. I got to get out of here. And then you're in the office. I got to get out of here. And just take us back and talk us through the thought process, the wrestle, of the first coming into the office, sort of more often than not.
I suppose there's a bit to unpack there. I suppose originally, I would go to the build thing first. Like, we did a pretty big renovation and building a house now, like maybe 3 or 4 years ago. And at the time, the business was heaps smaller. Like, there was, I think, only 3 of us at the time. And it suffered definitely because I was here doing a lot, and I did a lot of it myself as well. Like, I was on the bar digging holes and like just doing everything. But at the time, that probably forced me to create more roughing checklists and pre-plaster checklists and everything like that, because it forced me not to be on site as much as well. So there was that little handover there. I don't want this to be like that again, because there's obviously more at stake. But there's a lot more systems in place now as well, that if I do have to shoot off for half a day, each day or whatever it might be, that's hopefully not going to all fall over. But as far as I feel like the office thing is the same as the hiring of people. Like, we just got to a point where it was, unmaintainable. And I'm happy to work hard. Like, I'm happy to work on the tools for 12 hours, then come home and do 4 hours of computer work and stuff like that. But it got to a point where I think me being more on the tools, like, if I didn't have that office time, it was more detrimental to the business. So if I wasn't getting the quotes out, I wasn't doing everything, and I was just hectic working, we'd be really busy for, a few months, but then I wasn't filling the pipeline in the future. So it would often be like, we'd work really, really hectically, and then we'd have 2 weeks of I better find some more stuff for us to go to. And that kind of just extrapolated to the point where I started by doing, I think the first office scheduled time was half a day a week on a Wednesday or something. I'd make sure that I was in here, and then that went to 1 day, then 3 days, then 4 days, then now I'm in here full time, Trumps is in here full time, Terry's in the office full time doing admin. And then now it's the same thing. Like, we've gotten to a point now where we're so busy in here that need somebody else to come and help out as well. Like, I think you just get busier and busier and busier until you reach your threshold, and then kind of time for somebody else to step in and help.
I think what you're just saying then, it's like a pattern recognition, right?
Yeah.
So you're too busy to get the non-negotiables done. And It's like, at the start, that feels incredibly stressful to your first tradie hire. So, can I handle it? What's gonna, yeah. And then people are always like, how do you know? And it's like, I think when you're not getting the non-negotiables done. And that's probably you can't, there's probably a safe zone of, no one's going to wait longer than 2 to 3 weeks, really. You could stretch it out to 4 weeks, but if someone called for 3 PowerPoints in their shed and I said, sweet, how's 8 weeks away? There's probably a threshold of nah. Yeah. And you can reference that to a cafe. If you went to a cafe and they said, there's a really good cafe, and said, you got to wait 90 minutes, you probably would wait 90 minutes. But if they said, wait 4 hours or come back tomorrow, you're probably going to go eat somewhere else. That's pretty typical of a service-based industry. So I think the pattern recognition is, can't get non-negotiables, step up. You just get more comfortable with recognizing, I'm under the pump again. I think Elodie was always really big for me in that sense. She's like, "Hey, you're doing that thing again?" And I'm like, "What thing?" And she's like, "You're really, really busy." I'm like, "Oh, fire! Yeah, you're right. You might need to hire." And I'm like, "Yeah." So sometimes someone outside the box doesn't have to be a coach. It can be it can be yourself. If you can pull yourself out of your own box and reflect on your sort of close a week, I think that's absolutely huge. And how was the transition? What's your reflection if someone's sort of, we talked about this a lot. I think we even talked about this last time, but a lot of people are reaching out with the same stuff right now. How do you first pull someone else into the office? And then knowing what you know now, not what would you have done differently, but how would, like, let's say Trump's comes into the office for a day a week or a half day a week at the start. What would you get him to do in that day?
Well, the way we did it originally was it was exactly that setup. Like he would come in for a day or 2 days or half a day here, half a day there, and it was basically uh, project managing, I suppose. Like me and him would almost have a meeting to see how everything was going on site, whether there was, like we had to mark up some plans or we had to organize a large materials order or we had to work out the schedule for the next 2 or 3 months, like a long-term schedule. Like you need, so that was the original stuff. And then during all of that, it evolved into, okay, well, now that was awesome. That made this project run so much better that we had our heads across it and we gave it the time to manage it correctly in the office. And then it went from that to learning the pricing side of things, doing takeoffs, then just evolving into becoming more and more capable and competent across what you can delegate and help teach. And then it was obviously like, then a lot of my time was taken up doing what I felt like was like low level admin tasks. And then we both I realized that mine and Trump's skill set is used not to best to be like replying to emails and answering the phone and doing stuff like that. So that's why I got Terry in to be able to and do all that. Not like it's very important stuff, but you don't need to be an electrician to do it, I suppose, is the best way to go about it. I have an understanding of how a job site works and what labor you need to allocate and, what part of the roughing you're up to, how you can push programs and not get left behind. So, and then now it's kind of come full circle to the point where I am wanting to get somebody else in here to help us so that I can actually get back to site more, because I think that's probably what my best skill set is, to be out, not necessarily like throwing clips in and fitting off PowerPoints, but, seeing the boys, seeing the builders, getting the best out of everyone that we deal with. So ensuring that, my presence is still there. And so now it's kind of wanting to replace myself again and get back out onto site.
That's really interesting. And I think that's so underrated. I want to stay there, but I want to come back to how experienced Trump's was when you put him into the office, because that's probably underrated too. You can't just get some random punter, third-year apprentice or someone just out of their time. You can, but you can expect some problems because quoting is just learned experience, right? Essentially, quoting is front costing a job. I reckon we can do it for this. So you need a lot of experience. The larger the job, the more experience you need in that certain industry. But coming back, I think one thing that's very typical is the office stuff gets released and you get more, and then you circle back to site because things may not be happening as cleanly or as organized or as productively or as profitably as you would have envisioned. And I know, say, my strength would be turning up to a job. If I had one strength, it's probably this is how we're going to attack that job. Like if my top, and it's like, that's probably the most profitable thing you can do in your business. And a lot of times, this is actually very interesting to talk about. A lot of times your first hire or two or three, if they're weapons, which I was fortunate enough to have, and then you've got your first year apprentice that comes through the ranks with you, the decision making is really good because they've sat with you for 5 or 6 years and they know. But as the team gets bigger, the experience, it might get a little bit less. It might still be experience, but they're not acclimatized or accustomed to how the Crow Electrical way or the Bremner Electrical way, and they haven't seen the big dog, aka size 15 Lord rocking up to feet, just just rolling cables off with his teeth. I haven't seen the, oh hey, I'm gonna have a site meeting here first and plow through, like this we're gonna get through first. And I think even that, hey, by Tuesday afternoon we'll get through this, by Thursday we'll get through this, and by Friday we'll go up to here, circle back next week. So that, I think that's incredibly critical, because you're almost retraining your team to the Bremner electrical way. Any reflections on that?
I couldn't agree anymore. I think literally, like, Trump's was my first employee, so he was a mature age apprentice when he started, and he was with me in the van for ages. We learnt the right way. Then Jordan, who's also now coming into the office maybe one day a week, to exact same thing. Like, he's starting by doing some mark out and some design of projects and stuff like that, and how they're going to run. And he was my second apprentice. So those guys know exactly the way we want to do stuff, because they both spent those quality years, like, in the van, quality time together. And then the other guys that have started since, like, they're unreal, but they aren't accustomed to working side by side and seeing exactly how you do stuff. Like, so their way of doing stuff might work, but it might just be slightly different, need a bit of a tweak. So that is really, yeah. And it's also important that now we're at a stage 2 where Trumps needs to go to site, because there's projects which he's across, which I'm not. And then he goes to those sites, I go to my sites, and we just kind of, lift everybody up along the way.
It's so interesting because, and I'd love your take on this, because I just finished a pod just before, that's why I was late. But like, I was chatting, I was just solo chatting about, would I use estimators or not? And we never did for Core Electrical, mainly because I felt that if the job was that far out of my league, should I even be putting my hat in the ring? And there's a realm and reason to that. I know it's important to put yourself out of your comfort zone a little bit, but you reference it to surfing. Out of your comfort zone a little bit might be 6-foot waves. You're not going to go to 50-foot Mavericks, it's too far. It's too, and any sport, you might be able to do a snowboard half pipe. Can you do one of those psycho Olympic level half pipes? Probably not, Skateboarding's the same. Any sport's the same. So it's really interesting. Like, there is a point that's too far out of your depth. So I was sort of suggesting that, especially the estimating process, is where the client, commercial client, industrial builder, whoever, is sort of sussing out, it's your intellectual property. It's your chance to shine your wisdom, your chance to shine your intellectual property, your chance to shine how you would go about things, and ask some good questions, and potentially put yourself in the hot seat for the job because you ask some great questions on the way. And that quoting process is such a good time to build relationship. You're touching base with them. You might have a coffee with them. You might, actually on revision C, on revision D now. Oh, cool. How was your weekend? Oh, yeah, the Sharkies won. I love the Sharkies. Like, there's a bit of like breaking bread process. And then when you go to site, you're like, there's a core hole over there. We'll put cable tray here. I've thought about this. Yeah, watch out for that. Box this riser out here. Don't forget about the NBN. So there's that transition from office back to site. And the intellectual, it's like you've already done the job. How do you feel about, like, do you use any external estimators, or do you take all the quoting in-house, or have you?
No, so we've never got anything estimated externally. We also very rarely tender for projects. Like, a lot of the work that we do is for the builder who's already got the job, and we've got a pre-existing relationship with them and stuff like that. So
is that quoted or cost plus, or a bit of a mixed bag?
Nearly always quoted, always. But so we're happy to invest the time into learning the job properly, quoting it, going through it. It might be a bit of a process to get it done, but it's because we're not banging out, to random jobs that we've got no relationship with the builder and stuff like that. So I feel like we're happy to invest that time and learn and understand the project, go back and forth with the builder, give them some VM options and stuff like that, so that it just fosters that relationship, builds it stronger. But during this whole search for an estimator, we've actually been put onto, it's interesting, some AI technology, which we're in the early implementation stage of it. And
we had a good chat about this other day. This is this is cool to talk about because the future might not be here yet, but it's not far away. But yeah, talk to us about. So you put an ad up about for an estimator, which you're obviously looking for. I want to shout you out too in a good way, because we spoke on the phone and I was like, you got to get this estimator. And you were like, what do you reckon? And we chatted about it. And I was like, get your estimator ad up ASAP because you've got a good following and you're a good person. And I think anyone would be lucky to work at Bremner Electrical. I think this the style and scope of work you guys do is you get a lot of learning in there. And I think you're just a good person. So I can't speak high enough of that. But and then swear to God, went on Insta that afternoon, and you've got that like, hey guys, gonna do that. So you just get stuff done, and I think that a huge trait of high performers is they just get stuff done. It might not be perfect. There might have been a better take with you flexing your right arm a little bit more than your left. I noticed you're in a singlet, and I was like, "Is that by design?" I like it. I like it a lot. So shout out to you. But yeah, where did you land? Like, so talk us about that new thing.
Yeah, so I mean, we didn't really get any overly solid. Like there was a feel like, oh, that'd be cool. Like I've got a mate, but nothing really ever came from it. So I got sent a tech guy's number, I suppose, and I went and had a meeting with him at his office, and he showed me this technology, which is it's AI based. I'm not really that understand the back end of it, but he effectively took one of our plans for a project that we just finished quoting, put it into his software. He's like, hey, can you please generate me a stage 1 takeoff? Let me know where there's any service clashes or RFIs that we might need to send to the builder, and a initial price breakdown. So that took like maybe 10 minutes of it scanning the drawings and doing a count up and going through everything. And then what it spat out was the most wild thing I've ever seen in my whole life. It was a full spreaded document with like cost center breakdowns and then estimates, and like this is a list that you should send to your builder of things that we might see coming up. These are the specified lights. This is where you should send them to get pricing. And I was like, wow, that is unreal. And then he went into the next stage. He sent an email saying, hey, could you please do a stage 2 breakdown of this project? Recount all your numbers, make sure all your links and everything are perfect, and then go to the further breakdown. And then that was like, first floor deck work, X amount of conduit points, this amount of labor, everything like that. And we're just working on how that will be able to, he believes, I think it's called an API key or something, he'll be able to spit that information into the back of our SimPro, and it'll just effectively generate. Obviously, we're still going to have to go over everything and learn the job and stuff, but that initial looking through a job and doing a takeoff and a count and everything like that, what might normally take 4 to 8 hours on a decent sized project could be 40 minutes of just cross-checking what this has spat out at you. And it's pretty exciting. I'll have to let you know how it goes once it actually gets implemented and how it works.
We'll get you back on the pod when we know more. It's really interesting. And for someone coming through the ranks, I would suggest there's high-level work estimating and then low-level work estimating. So low-level being takeoffs. And, hey, there's 408 PowerPoints or 43 PowerPoints. And it's this series. Like there's certain things that really anyone could do. Yeah. What do you think, what are you looking at when you quote a large job like a $400 to $1 million job or 200 grand plus, and you're looking at the plans and the takeoffs are sort of prepared in front of you? What sort of things are you looking for?
So, I mean, that's kind of the way we work it now with me and Trumps. Like he'll do a fair bit of the takeoffs and the building of the quote and stuff, and then before we submit it, he'll send it to me and I'll check over it, make sure. The main stuff on projects like that I'm checking is switchboard pricing, metering, mains, cost and sizing of mains, like just making sure that all the voltage drops are correct and everything like that. Lighting supply, all those really big ticket, expensive items. And just obviously I run it through the Sparky Coach quote checker as well. Like, because you get to a point where you've got, you might get a quote and it says there's 3,500 hours worth of labor. And then you go, well, I haven't done all of this. So let's go through, let's check it. Let's say, all right, deck work might take, 3 blokes a week or whatever. And then you spit that in and make sure that the numbers all kind of end up really close to each other. But yeah, I'm really looking at the high cost items where if you get it wrong, it can cost you a lot of money, or you can overcharge on them and lose the job, or burn a relationship with a good builder as well. So
Yeah, it's so interesting, isn't it? Because overpricing or overcharging leads someone to maybe get a second opinion, which is so fair enough.
yeah,
And you can lose that client. And once someone, I mean, that's the dream, right? As a business owner, if you get a window of someone needing a second opinion and you can be that second opinion, I was
you're
always
in,
like,
matey.
that was
Yeah,
always that was my dream.
yeah,
You
same.
know, that was what I was waiting. I'm born for this. I'm ready
Yeah,
to go. So, and then the goal is to take those opportunities, and the goal is with your clients to not let anyone else have those opportunities. And unfortunately, they always come up, whether the client's got an owner builder that's got his own Sparky, or my
yeah,
brother-in-law's a Sparky. And you know what? Someone else can either make you look really bad or really good.
yeah.
That's the general speaking. They can make you look really bad by just being better, being more organized, being more thorough, being a little bit more cost effective. Let's not take it that has to come into consideration. It just is. Pricing is such a critical part. It's not everything, but it's a lot. And then, we've all been on the other side of someone else comes in and jobs balls up, and it's like, oh, we're never using anyone else again. And there's no better feeling than that. But that,
Yeah.
that,
I
but that,
told you.
yeah, I said we were good. But there's that, especially when you're at a growing business and the product's not, you and your size 15-foot ripping cables around anymore. The product's a little bit different. It can be really stressful to let that, you're almost letting it go through the keeper and just being like, I pray to God that keeper pulls it together or doesn't pull it together. How do you deal with that? Because that's stressful, right? Like, and when someone else gets a window in or a shot in, or you're up against someone, what's your thoughts there?
I actually have that mentality about all of our quotes and jobs that we do. I always kind of come from the framework that, they could easily get somebody else to, look at this variation or quote this job, and the last thing you want to do is look like you're taking the piss. So
Yeah.
we're obviously know our numbers, know how much everything costs, and we've got a margin that we want to work to. We never go higher than that. We try to avoid going lower than that, and just be a fair company to deal with, like provide a really good service. So that isn't just having a good price, but that's answering the site manager's phone. That's replying to RFIs straight away and doing variations. And if they call you on site and you've got boys there and they're like, oh, can you help us unload the windows or whatever? Like, yeah, we can. You know what I mean? So trying to go above and beyond, and then just have a fair transaction. Like, people don't expect you to work for free. People also don't expect to be like ripped off. So I really do try and keep that in the back of my head, that yes, we're lucky we work for a lot of people who, they might get a check price every 3 jobs or something, but they always come back. They're like, yeah, you're within 5-10%, like, because we're not taking the piss.
Yeah, it's so important to. I think this is the best reference I've come up with, that in a relationship, both parties have to win,
Yeah,
or feel like they're winning.
yeah,
I provide the product, you provide the payment. We're
yeah,
we're happy with the payment, we're happy with the product, and you can reference that to personally. There's no point just one person winning in your marriage.
yeah,
And everyone needs to win. There's going to be seasons, obviously, like personally, but you need to know professionally, both people need to win. This is why I'm so against, like, you take the piss with someone one time and that leaks out, you're sort of done for. And a lot of times good people can lash out, especially when your pricing's off, haven't made money for 12 months, 18 months, confused about pricing. And it's like, oh, I'll just charge this for that job. And you might win it and I'll do it again. And you might do it again. And it's just, you never want to be on the wrong side of an average or bad reputation. And if you are, correct it as quickly as you can. No one's perfect. Everyone makes mistakes. But yeah, it's super interesting. Hey, circling back.
It also works really well if you've got, you work for builders and stuff, they have staff come and go all the time. So we get often where, a project manager will leave, or a estimator from a builder or something will leave to another builder and be like, hey, like, we've got this Sparky, they're so good to work with. Like, you're happy for me to send them the plans? They make my life so much easier. So that's also what happens when you don't take the piss and you look after people as well. Like you can grow like that too.
Yeah, the incremental effect of a plumber, a plumber's apprentice branching out and starting their own thing, the builder's apprentice branching out and starting their own thing. I think that's the benefit of being a bit older. And you can look back and see all the people that sort of came through the ranks that you used to sit down and have lunch with, now working for themselves. They need an electrician personally and professionally. The project managers at the large building companies or whatever, they usually always their average lifespan's 5 to 8 years, you would think. So they're always changing around from this to that for better opportunities, and fair enough. And I think it's really important. The best I ever heard it summed up, and this is coming back to, there's a couple of things that a client will look for. And I heard it, I was this plumber I used to work with, I can't remember his name, way back in the day. And it said his slogan was, large enough to cope, small enough to care, or small enough to care, large enough to cope. And I think
that's good.
that's the essence of what you want to capture, right? To the larger people, you want to be like, hey, I can cope here, but you still have that family-run ethos, person. And I think people are looking for someone who's small enough to care, but they can still handle it. And a lot of the times, like once you get to a certain size, especially electrical business, I'm not going to say you're untouchable, but on a job of a certain size, you are a little bit untouchable because the other person wouldn't be able to cope with that. And a lot of times even the builder or client can't give you 2 jobs if you're at that 2 to 4 staff members, because it's like they can't have their job held up by their other job. It's like, you haven't demonstrated you have the team big enough, and that's really interesting. How have you found the Bremner product, like through the sort of transition of you to apprentices to tradies to Trump's coding, like how have you gone about maintaining that Bremner product excellence?
Funny, we were actually talking about this, I think Friday last week. Me, Trumps, and Jordan were all in the office, and we were kind of laughing from all being there at the start how everything has evolved so much. Like, I think the product's gotten infinitely better. Like our responsiveness to people, our record keeping on jobs, and I think it's gotten so much better. And that's part of employing great people too. Like the people that we've got, apprentices, A grades, everything like that, even subbies, like they just really care and do a great job. But I feel like at the start you're like drowning, like you don't have time to do. You try your very best to go over and above, and you do, but like now, just a small thing, like all of our drawings and markouts and everything like that are done digitally. We save it all to a shared drive, any RFIs, any changes, any drawing updates, everything like that all goes in there. We've all got group chats per project where we put all the shared information in. If there's anything also, which somebody does and that maybe, needs to be done a little bit better or whatever, we've got an inbox as well where like you put that in, be like, hey guys, like this is not the way we like to do stuff. It's all good, but next time do it like this. And, so I feel like it's a really good culture, I suppose, of everyone wants to do the best. And like we work on some pretty cool stuff. So to be able to deliver that well and be like, wow, like driving past with your kids like, oh, I did that. So
well, I quoted it. Yeah, I quoted it from a distance, but I didn't actually run any quotes.
I actually think the product's gotten heaps better. Like heaps better.
That's beautiful, and I think that's hard to see when you're coming through the ranks of business growth. And I think a couple of things, my thoughts go to, you said it, employing good to great to excellent people. Yeah. And secondly, organic growth. I don't think you can. I think some people, if you doubled it, it might not be very good. Like if I doubled your business right now, you would drop the ball across. But if I doubled it within 2 to 3 years, you'd be able to keep up with the change and adapt as you went through. So I think a lot of people want what they've got ×2, and I don't think it's the best way forward. Like I think slower organic growth, especially because you're in a service industry, a lot of the people, when they say, let's double it, they're selling a product. Like if they're selling like this is the run. It's very, very, very predictable. And that's like, I mean, coaching, we're selling a product, right? Like it's so different. It's so predictable. Even to my week, I know exactly what my week looks like, what next week looks like. If we added this, where I need this, in case of emergency, break glass and sprinkle salt over here. It's so unbelievably predictable and it's so different. So listening to people that are selling a product rather than a service, you shouldn't be listening to them. They don't know what they're talking about, or they might, but like scary times. Hey, I want to talk about Trump's experience when he came into the office. How far into his how experienced was he?
Well, he's probably a pretty unique case. So before he started working for us, he worked for a building company as a estimator and like project coordinator, and he did a couple of degrees at uni and stuff like that. So he was, I think, maybe like 23 or 24 or something when he started his apprenticeship. With that experience already, so he was already like very good at sending emails and professional and stuff. So he did his whole apprenticeship and then maybe worked for like a year or so just as an A grade on the tools. But I don't think that he doesn't love that either. Like he much prefers the working in the office side of it. Like that's what he enjoys. That's what he's good at. So, yeah, so probably only like a year out of his time really, but he was, I don't know, 28 years old, so it's different to,
Yes.
a 17-year-old kid who's 21. But in saying that, like I think it's dependent on the person and like what skill set they got, what type of person they are. Yeah.
How do you feel? Because a lot of people, the natural progression is be like, he's a weapon on the tools, we'll put him in the office, or she's a weapon on the tools, put in the office. What do you like? I think you need an element of office skills. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you need to want to be getting better. But that sounds like an ideal fit with Trump's being previous estimation experience, and then also knows you well, fits the culture well. And how did you find those initial sort of like 3 to 6 months when he was doing stuff and you were sort of paying for it? And it was like, was it exciting? Was it stressful? Was it like, no, don't do that?
Like maybe oversharing, but along the way, like when he was still an apprentice and stuff, we had some really open and honest conversations about like what he wanted for his career and that he probably wasn't going to be satisfied just working as a tradie and like that's not what he saw that his potential was. So it was part of I also found like a little bit of responsibility because I love him. Like I didn't want him to leave. Like, so part of my role in that was to grow the business at the same time to a point where he didn't have to leave, and there was a space for him to be able to be his best self too. Like the same thing with a lot of the guys, like if that's what they're into, like I try and create an environment and enough work and the right type of work where they feel like they're going to be able to reach their potential.
That's actually, didn't have this on my list, but it's so interesting. And I think when you're 23 to 28, even to 30, 25 to 30 bracket, you're sort of in and around, like not all the time, but usually you're employing people same age or younger a lot of the time. Yeah. And I think you can forget about, like, no one really wants to be climbing through roof spaces at 45. So you can have all this like service work or all this psycho level rough in, and not saying you can't, but a lot of people want career progression. And, you got to think of a 45-year-old, they might have been doing the same thing for 25 years. They're going to probably want to change at some point. And I think providing a change in industry in your business, like, and when I say change industry, I'm not saying they're going to go and do something else. I'm saying like providing a career progression pathway. So they're going from apprentice to tradie to service manager to project manager to lead estimator to operations manager. Like having that natural trajectory of pathway might not seem so relevant today, but it's good to be aware of into the future, especially as people get older and have kids and got to have commitments with soccer training or school swimming carnivals or school meetings and all that kind of stuff. So what's your thoughts in and around that?
100%. And even with, guys, because not everyone wants to work in the office, or they don't at the moment, like they haven't really maybe realized that they're mid-20s to late 20s and they haven't really, like, and they might not, like, But even the work that they want to do on the tools, like I want to try and facilitate that as well. Like one of the guys, Jack, who works for us, he loves doing like civil work, like digging on machines and using a like a jackhammer. He's a nutcase, but like we tried to. So I went and got him his ticket to. I mean, I didn't buy an excavator for him, but we got an excavator, and then he loves doing that stuff, so I got him his ticket, and he now drives our machine when we need to get machines done. If there's ever concrete and footings to be done, he's the guy. Jordan, who's started with us when I think he was 7. He's he loves like the techie automation type stuff like that as well. So that's what he loves doing, rather than these guys leaving and finding what they love doing somewhere else. That's what he was in here Friday doing, learning all about the KNX and ordering the parts and doing the Dali circuits, and because he loved that stuff. So if he can fill his own cup while still working here and we can continue working together, I feel like that's the perfect scenario. It's a fair bit of responsibility on me to ensure that you provide that environment, but it just has all happened organically. So just keep on doing it.
Yeah, it's a fair responsibility on you. And also, shout out to you who's aware. And I think that's one of the biggest things of stepping away from the day-to-day, like roughing in and in the day-to-day, like, I've got to get these 17 quotes out. When your role has a bit of space in it, you can be aware of what other people need or want and have those conversations, and you can create space for them. And sometimes people do that, creating space for people really naturally and organically, and I think you are one of those people. And if that doesn't come naturally to you and you're listening, you're going to have to get some headspace to create that space, to open up those. Don't be scared of the answer. It's like, hey, what do you want to do in 20 years? Oh, I want to do don't be scared of the answer, but knowing, in my opinion, is better than not knowing. So too many people, when a 3rd or 4th year is coming out of their time, I'm like, if you had a chat to them, are they staying around? Oh, I don't know. I haven't put that pressure on them. It's like, that's not pressure. That's security. They want security, or they want to be like, you want to know if they're going to Europe on their hot girl summer or whatever, or you want to know this stuff because you want to be in their world. And I think that's the biggest reflection, is just have those hard conversations, but it's harder not having that conversation. That's really interesting.
I feel like if you go into it with an open mindset, it doesn't have to be hard at all. And also if their path and journey is not to, be with you and stay with you forever, it's better to know that than not know that, than put all your eggs in someone who's got zero intention of staying around. What a fruitless effort that is. Stupid.
Or I just think how many apprentices a large company, even a medium-sized company, let's say 10 to 20 staff, how many apprentices they would create in 10 years is probably 40. 5 to 10, or whatever, 40, whatever. Let's say you're employing one a year though, right? You employ one apprentice a year, which is I'd say that's a decent amount. You're producing 10 apprentices in a decade. A lot of the smaller people might employ 2 apprentices a decade. So it's like, are you willing to put all your eggs are you betting on that person they're going to be an excellent tradie, and excellence is doing what you do well and doing it with a good attitude? So is that the person you're going to gamble on? Because it's gambling, but don't take that lightly. But wrapping my final question was this: you've just been through a huge transition, I would say, another full-time admin, but bigger than that, you've gone from service mate to Simpro. Now, I don't have any cares or allegiances, or nothing's off topic here. We had a chat, I can't remember when that was, a week ago, 2 weeks ago. Could have been Friday, I've got no idea. But we had a chat last week, I think. And because anyone that's on Simpro will be, should have done it sooner. Yeah, best thing ever. And I was like, what do you think? You've just been that, because it's a huge transition that shouldn't be taken lightly. There's a lot to set up, a lot to do. Price book, your break evens, and the program's only as good as the data that's entered into it anyway, right? And I was like, do you think you should have done it sooner? And you were like, no. I mean, well, yes and no. No, I don't think I had the capability to handle that transition beforehand. So more just want to just get your open feeling on how did you find the transition, what brought on the transition, and what's your learnings from that?
Well, so as the name Service Mate would suggest, fantastic for service work. And when we were smaller, it was perfect for tracking and stuff. But as we got bigger, started doing bigger projects, and it really didn't provide very much ability to be able to track how a job went. So you'd either have to manually do it in like a spreadsheet or double handle or whatever it might be. So about 2 to 3 years ago, I reckon we were maybe 5 or 6 at the time, like employees. I did the training, paid for Simpro, paid for a year, and then didn't use it because I didn't have the time to be able to set it up, learn it, train all the boys how to use it, do all the pre-builds and everything like that. So December last year, we redid the training and got everyone on board, and Terry and Trumps and myself were all pretty good at using it now, but we've spent some serious time like building it properly. Like, so me and Trumps have both spoken about like our quoting and our invoicing and our everything for, from December until probably the end of the year is going to be significantly impacted because everything we do, we're creating a pre-build. Everything we do, we're doing a takeoff item. We're really taking the time to build it properly. And already like we're seeing, you can bang stuff out so much more accurately and so much more quickly. But if I had have done it 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I would have done it like shit. Like I wouldn't have built it properly. I would have just been quickly. I wouldn't have had time. Like at the moment, we're probably between us, probably doing like 20 hours a week of building Simpro. Like we're pumping pre-builds. Like if we didn't do that, we'd be able to obviously do our quotes quicker. But we're kind of looking at it as like it's an investment now, and then it's just going to make our lives infinitely easier. Like infinitely.
And what brought on the change? Like last December, you obviously, not gonna say tried and failed, but like you tried.
It was a full fail whale, man.
You failed. You tried and stopped. What brought on like the second coming of like, no, we're going here? What was that?
Definitely having 2 other people in the office to be able to help me implement it. I feel like the business was much more stable as well, and I could afford the time to be able to do it properly. But effectively, like just with Simpro, with the projects we were doing, it was so, actually what it was when we jumped on the program, started doing the close the week, because we could not get the information that we needed. The labor tracking was shocking. There was no POs. We couldn't see exactly how much materials were spent, like over a long period of time. Like some of our jobs go for 18 months, 2 years. It was so messy and so hard to like keep a track of, that when we started closing the week and closing the month with you guys, it was like, well, this has taken me like 2 hours, 3 hours to do, because I've got to get all this information from all sorts, search the job number on the email, and then add that up with a calculator, and it's ridiculous. So that was the real catalyst for me to be like, okay, like back then it wasn't the right time, but it was the right product. I got my ambition mixed up with ability, I suppose. But now it's like, all right, this is where the business is changing. It's evolving. It's getting to a point where we need to take it more seriously. Like, yes, it's working. Like from a business standpoint, it was working fine. But to look into the future, to do it the way we were, if we are going to continue to grow and expand and build, and hopefully be able to hand over a lot of responsibility too, like personally. So much of it was in my head. Like there wasn't correct stuff built. It was like a workaround for this and a workaround for that. And now it's just built correctly and properly. And so I could get someone who'd never done it before, as long as they knew how to do it, be like, hey, we've got this job. It's XYZ. You got all these pre-builds, put it in, send the quote. Like, I could never do that before. Like, I'd have to like put my magic spell out there and work it out all myself and be like, yeah, I reckon it's half an hour for this, 40 minutes for that, 2 hours for that. But yeah, it's just, as the business has grown, it was required, I think.
That's really interesting. I think, and I've been saying this a lot, and I think I'll say this for as long as I'm in a position to do so. A lot of people underestimate like just closing the week and just incrementally doing 1 to 2 things a week, like building your price book 5 items a week, building closing the week and working out, I don't have purchase orders. I'm not sending invoices every Monday. My quotes aren't on time. I don't have a way to track schedule. I'm not tracking labor. I think the incremental effect of just doing the right thing consistently or taking a step forward over time is so underrated. You want to climb a mountain, it's overwhelming, but if you got a tent and some feet and some boots and some stale bread, you can make huge dents in it over time. It doesn't have to be scaled tomorrow. So yeah, that's cool. And I want to ask you, if you were starting out again, let's say you were starting out within your first year of business, would you go straight to Simpro or would you stay on ServiceMate, or what? Like, how would you gauge that?
No, I reckon I'd just go to service now, something straight from the start. I think unless you know for a fact and you're adamant that you're going to get to a place of like 6, 7, 8+ employees, I think ServiceMate's awesome for that. Like, it's great for a smaller service based business. I don't know about most people who start out, but when you do, in Victoria, when you get your contractor's license, you have to do there's like some goal setting and stuff like that. And my goal was to be able to have 1 A grade and 1 apprentice, like big first time, like my end of the line goal. So I had no idea of what it was going to lead to or how it was going to expand and grow and stuff like that. So unless you're one of those people who, has come straight off the bat and he's like, I'm going to have a massive business and I'm going to, have people in the office and stuff like that. I think it's hard. I think it'd be hard to operate as one person, like very difficult. I think it requires a fair bit of input, a fair bit of time. I think it'd be really hard for a small crew to be able to run Simpro.
It's really interesting. I love hearing different people's thoughts, because if you talk to Cam, he'd be like, straight from the outset, never change anything,
Yeah.
I like hearing different, and I think, but he came from
It's also expensive too.
Yeah, but he
it costs a lot
also
of money.
he came from Simpro experience as well.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like he was learning a new platform. He was doing that in a operations role elsewhere. So no, that's cool. It's super interesting. And if you had one shot, one opportunity to, don't say you didn't have any warning on this either. I don't want to hear any excuses. If you had one shot, one opportunity to bless the people, or something we've talked about you want to double down on, or you want to reiterate something, or you want to sort of give people an element of inspiration, what would you say?
I suppose to double back on something that we said about the not taking the piss from the people you have, the people you work for and stuff like that, just continue to be kind and build relationships, and whether that be for your staff or for your wholesalers or for your builders or for yourself or for your family, or just try and be kind and do your best. And I think incremental changes and growth and building on yourself, the business, everything over a long period of time can be super surprising at the results that it can have. Like, it doesn't have to be overnight change. And one of the things we've spoken about is there's no like magic pill for, business change or growth or success, if you want to put it, like whatever it might be. It's just doing the right thing consistently and putting in the work. Like, it's not easy. It's just something that has to, you have to just work on and continue to work on, and probably forever. It's probably, someone might find that super overwhelming, but I think the work on self and business and relationships and everything like that, I think it's something that you just have to do forever and just grow incrementally.
Well, so long as you're living and selling labor materials, you're going to want to be improving in life.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I love that, man. High five from across states. Whoop-pow. Josey Bremner, the man, not a myth, definitely a legend. So thank you so much for your time. We appreciate you. We love you. And I'll see you really soon. Oh, don't hang up this call. But see you soon. That's a wrap on another podcast. Whatever you're doing, don't be too busy to stop and check if you're making money. And above all else, you know the rules. Be kind. See you soon.